Go on, put that gun to my head and pull the trigger. There's nothing left you can take from me." Those were the calm, defiant words of Special Warfare Operator First Class Tess Arden, spoken to Commander Dalton as he pressed his M17 against her temple, desperate to silence her after she uncovered $3 million worth of stolen military gear. He'd assumed a woman in the SEALs was just another recruit he could scare into obedience, but he was about to discover that the trident on her chest wasn't decoration. It was proof she'd already faced horrors beyond anything he could imagine. Tess Arden stood rigid at attention inside a dim warehouse on Port Caldera Naval Base, the cold steel of Dalton's pistol biting into her right temple. At 31, she was among only 18 women to complete BUD-S training and earn the SEAL Trident since the Pentagon removed gender restrictions back in December 2015. The warehouse reeked of rust and diesel, the buzzing fluorescent lights slicing across rows of equipment pallets that shouldn't have existed, items she'd stumbled upon during a simple inventory review. Outside, the steady crash of Pacific waves echoed, the same waters where she'd endured 6 brutal months of Hell Week, when instructors tried to break her mind and body every single day. They hadn't then, and Dalton, soft-handed supply officer with his pristine insignia, had no idea that threatening someone who'd already died and clawed her way back during combat dives was utterly pointless. "Hey everyone, where are you watching from today? Drop your location below," the narrator breaks in briefly. "And if you believe in justice for those who serve, hit subscribe for more stories of veterans who refuse to break, right here on Major Tom's Tales." The commander's hand trembled, betraying the fear beneath his authority. He'd never seen battle, never heard a bullet crack the air. Arden had spent 8 long years proving herself in Naval Special Warfare Development Group, hauling the same 100-pound loads through Afghan mountains as any man beside her. She'd grown up in Fairhaven, Oregon, where her mother flew bush planes and her father captained a fishing trawler. The roaring, Bering-like seas were her first survival instructor. When she was 14, their boat overturned in a storm, and Tess kept her younger brother alive for 3 endless hours in 40-degree water until the Coast Guard pulled them out. Her father didn't survive. Hypothermia claimed him 20 minutes before rescue arrived. She'd joined the Navy at 19, not chasing adventure but searching for order, discipline, and a place to direct the storm of anger left after watching her father vanish beneath the waves. Her father didn't survive. Hypothermia claimed him just 20 minutes before the rescue team arrived. At 19, Tess enlisted in the Navy, not chasing thrills, but searching for order, control, and a way to contain the fury she'd carried since the night she watched her father sink beneath the waves. When she learned that BUD-S was finally opening to women, she volunteered without hesitation. The instructors didn't want her there, and neither did most of her peers. Twice, she was rolled back for stress fractures that would have ended another candidate's career. But she wrapped her legs with tape and kept running. Her mother flew down from Fairhaven for the Trident ceremony, the only family she had left after her brother's death in Afghanistan with the 173rd Airborne. As she pinned the insignia onto Tess's dress whites, her mother whispered their family's old Norwegian saying, "The hardest steel is forged in the hottest fire. Remember that when they try to break you." During her first deployment to Syria, Arden proved herself in a direct action raid gone wrong. When their point man was hit, she dragged him 200 meters under gunfire, then went back to rescue their interpreter. Her platoon chief later wrote in his after-action report that she'd shown rare courage under fire. Yet, even with a Trident and combat tours behind her, the whispers never stopped. She still had to prove herself every single day. The confrontation had started 3 weeks earlier, when Arden noticed irregularities in the equipment logs. As the team's assistant supply officer, a task no one wanted, She was cross-checking manifests when she realized that nearly 30% of their specialized gear was vanishing. Night vision goggles, plate carriers, even SR-25 sniper rifles, all written off as training losses. She'd taken the data to Senior Chief Vega, her platoon's senior enlisted, who advised her to document everything and go through proper channels. So she brought her findings to Commander Dalton, assuming a supply officer would want to stop theft on his watch. Instead, she'd seen his eyes flash with recognition, then panic, then cold calculation. "Your investigation ends right now, Petty Officer," he told her. "You're reassigned to admin duty, effective immediately." When she refused and said she'd report everything to NCIS, he ordered her to Warehouse 7 after hours, claiming it was for a classified briefing. Now they stood face to face, officer and enlisted, his weapon drawn in violation of every code she knew. Sweat glistened on his forehead despite the evening chill. Behind him, 2 civilian contractors lingered near a crate marked for disposal. She recognized both. Private military types who'd been loitering around the supply yard for weeks. Special Agent Navarro's voice murmured through her earpiece. The wire taped to her ribs was capturing every word. "Keep him talking, Arden. We need him to incriminate himself. The Master-at-Arms teams are ready." Tessa's thoughts drifted briefly to her mother, probably flying tourists over Denali at that very moment. Proud, believing her daughter served with honor. She thought of the younger sailors who looked up to her, especially the women who saw her trident and began to believe they could earn one too. She thought about her brothers in the teams, the men who'd finally accepted her after she'd saved Petty Officer Hall from drowning during a midnight infiltration drill. The cold metal at her temple almost felt familiar, almost comforting. Back in Sear School, they'd trained her to confront the nearness of death, to stare it down until fear lost its hold. The instructors had used every psychological weapon they had, tearing away comfort, pride, even humanity. But she'd lasted 64 relentless hours, giving them nothing but her name, rank, and service number. Yet this was different. This wasn't training. It was a commissioned officer, someone sworn to lead with honor, using his power to hide crimes that endangered real warriors. Every stolen rifle, every falsified manifest meant a SEAL somewhere might die without proper gear. Every forged entry stained the command she'd given her blood to join. That steady calm washed over her, the same icy focus she felt before a high-altitude jump. Her breath slowed, her senses sharpened. She saw the contractors shift uneasily, noticed Commander Dalton's trigger finger twitching. His grip was wrong, sloppy, proof he'd never faced real combat. "You're going to write a statement," Dalton barked, trying to sound in control, but the edge of panic leaked through. "You'll admit you made a mistake about the inventory, then you'll request a transfer. Say it's for mental health. No one questions that anymore." Arden said nothing, simply counted his breaths, 24 per minute. He was unraveling. One of the contractors stepped forward, zip ties in hand. She recognized his stance immediately. Former military, probably discharged, now earning dirty money in the shadows. The commander shoved the muzzle harder into her skin. "I know about your brother," he sneered. "Dead in Afghanistan. Your father drowned off Oregon. You really want your mother to lose her daughter, too. Training accidents happen all the time." That was his mistake, invoking her mother. Tess had taken every insult thrown her way, every doubt about her worth. But family was sacred ground. Her father had taught her that, and her brother had died believing it. From outside, she caught the low rumble of engines, military HMMVs, the quick reaction force Special Agent Navarro had staged nearby. The contractors heard it too. They exchanged uneasy glances. Dalton's hand trembled openly now. He wasn't a killer, just a coward pretending to be one, and his window was closing fast. "Sign it," he hissed. "No one believes women SEALs anyway. They'll say you cracked under pressure, couldn't handle the boys' club. One signature, and this disappears." That was the final spark. Arden moved with the lightning precision forged in 8 years of close-quarters combat training. Her left hand shot upward, locking around Dalton's wrist, while her right fist slammed into his solar plexus. The M17 fired into the warehouse ceiling as she twisted his arm, using his own momentum to throw him hard onto the concrete. His head cracked against the floor, and the pistol skidded away in a metallic scrape. The first contractor went for his concealed sidearm, but Arden was already in motion. Her knee drove viciously into his groin, followed by an elbow strike that crushed his throat as he bent forward. The second man managed to grip his Glock, but she'd already closed the gap. A sharp twist broke his thumb, and she smashed his face into the wall with surgical precision. Both were neutralized in under 4 seconds. Tess retrieved Dalton's pistol, dropped the magazine, and racked the slide to clear the chamber. Muscle memory, discipline even in chaos. The commander tried to crawl away, blood streaming from his shattered nose. She stepped forward, planting her boot between his shoulder blades, forcing him flat. A thunderous crash split the air as the warehouse doors burst open. Master-at-arms teams and NCIS agents poured inside, weapons up, barking orders. Senior Chief Vega followed right behind them. Arden raised her hands slowly, the M17 dangling loosely from one finger. "NCIS has been recording everything through the wire I'm wearing," she said evenly, lifting her shirt just enough to reveal the transmitter taped against her ribs. "Special Agent Navarro authorized this sting 3 days ago. We only needed you to incriminate yourself, Commander." She looked down at Dalton, who stared back in disbelief. "You really thought I'd come alone? That I'd walk into your trap without backup?" "I'm a SEAL, Commander. We never move without overwatch." The investigation that followed exposed a $3 million theft network stretching through multiple supply chains across the Pacific. Fleet Commander Dalton was tried by General Court-Martial and convicted on multiple counts, including conspiracy, grand theft, aggravated assault, and conduct unbecoming an officer. He received 20 years of confinement at the U.S. disciplinary barracks at Fort Meriden, his commission stripped in absolute disgrace. The 2 contractors were linked to an international arms smuggling network, selling stolen gear through ports scattered across Southeast Asia. Tess Arden was awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for heroism, recognized for risking her life to stop armed criminals. Yet, what meant more than medals was the letter she later received from a Marine's mother in Iraq, whose son had died after his squad's night vision gear mysteriously vanished from supply. The woman thanked Tess for making sure no other family would lose a child to greed. In the years that followed, Arden advanced steadily through the enlisted ranks. Now a senior chief petty officer, she serves as an instructor at the Naval Special Warfare Center, teaching close-quarters combat to new Bud-S candidates. When frightened but determined female recruits arrive, she shares the story of the night a commander aimed a pistol at her head and learned that threatening a SEAL only works if that SEAL fears death more than dishonor. On her desk sits a framed photo from her Trident ceremony, her mother's weathered hands pinning the eagle to her chest. Beside it rests a folded flag from her brother's coffin and the compass her father carried on his final voyage. Together they remind her each morning that some things are worth standing for, worth fighting for, and if need be, worth dying for, especially when corruption disguises itself as authority. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. Her mother's words had proved true. Tess Arden had walked through that fire and come out unbreakable.